On October 27, 1915, after nearly 10 months frozen in place, the ship was finally destroyed. Endurance split apart, its wooden hull groaning and splintering as the ice swallowed it whole. The men barely had time to salvage supplies, food, and the lifeboats before the ship was completely gone. Now they were alone, trapped on a drifting ice floe, with no way to contact the outside world. Antarctica had them in its grasp, and it wasn't letting go. For the next 5 months, they would live like castaways on the ice, slowly being carried farther from civilization. But when the ice finally started breaking apart, Shackleton made a decision that would define one of the greatest survival stories of all time. They would attempt the impossible. Shackleton's new plan? Sail hundreds of miles in small open lifeboats through one of the most violent seas on Earth. Their only hope was to reach Elephant Island, an uninhabited, ice-covered rock in the middle of the Southern Ocean. The journey would be deadly, with freezing waves, constant storms, and the very real risk of capsizing. The boats were too small to provide any shelter. The men would be soaked, frostbitten, and starving the entire way. But there was no alternative. Staying on the ice meant certain death. Against all odds, after a week at sea, they made it. For the first time in 497 days, the crew stood on solid land. But the celebration was short-lived. Elephant Island was still uninhabitable. They had no food, no shelter, and no way to signal for rescue. If they stayed, they would starve to death. Shackleton knew what he had to do. Taking 5 men in one of the lifeboats, he set off on an even more impossible journey, 800 miles across the open ocean to the nearest whaling station on South Georgia Island. For 16 days, they were battered by 30-foot waves, snowstorms, and constant freezing rain. Every moment, death was just inches away. By the time they finally saw land, they were barely alive. But they weren't safe yet, because South Georgia Island was a mountain fortress and they had landed on the wrong side. Their only chance was to cross the island's treacherous, glacier-covered mountains without maps, supplies, or climbing gear. No one had ever crossed the island on foot before, and if they failed, no one ever would. This was the moment where the third man factor would appear, the moment where Shackleton would feel an unseen presence guiding him, pushing him forward when his body wanted to collapse.